What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We got a good video for you guys today with regards to statistics, how Honkai Star Rail is performing. I remember about a month ago, we did a video similar to this, comparing it to Genshin Impact, its big brother. And then in that video, I also said that if anybody had a chance to outperform Sela's banner, it should be Kafka. She's the character who was the most anticipated. She was the most hyped. She had the biggest fandom. And now that she is out, it's been confirmed that she is also top of the meta. She is probably the character out of all characters that have been released other than Blade, who with the most ingenuity and creativity and synergies that are unique to her kit. She has a phenomenal character design and character aesthetic. She is literally, she checks off all boxes. So she should be the one that can compete with Sela's revenue banner. Now, unfortunately, we can only look at the China market based off the data we have here. Hoyo's a bit stingy with a lot of the data that they provide, but we do have some other websites that we're going to go to and take a look at. For instance, we got Sensor Tower. They are well renowned for their ability to condense the money and revenue generated from a number of mobile games. And then we have another website that kind of correlates to exactly what Sensor Tower has, just so you guys could see that these numbers aren't just like fabricated. But I do want to talk about the results that we got here from this. I'm actually a little bit surprised because she has 2 weeks left on her banner. The initial pop has already occurred, and she's just now barely passing up Lorcha, which is actually the least popular character out of all characters released based off of revenue generated from the China market. Again, this is the China market. This is not a accurate representation of worldwide mobile spending on Honkai Star Rail. So, but there's still a lot to learn from this, because after everything I just mentioned, you would think Kafka would be at least probably right here with the amount of anticipation and things I just mentioned, but she's down here. And again, there is 2 weeks left, but in 2 weeks, there's no shot this is going to actually come up here and pass Sela, let alone meet Sela to where she is. So I think there's a bit to extrapolate from this. I think that Sela's revenue banner wasn't just because people loved Sela. I think a lot of it had to do with FOMO and hype, and with her being the anchor character of Honkai Star Rail's release. And then obviously as time trickled on, a lot of that FOMO and hype died down, and then Honkai Star Rail slowly but surely started to find its core player base. And I think that's what these numbers are reflective of. Now, again, that is just a hypothesis. It's not factual, but I mean, 2 + 2 kind of does equal 4. But with that being said, I think that Kafka is probably going to end up maybe right here. I don't even think she's going to pass up Silverwolf and Jing Yuan. Now, I don't want you guys thinking, oh, Honkai Star Rail is dying and it's not doing as good. Nope, this happens in pretty much every goddamn game out there. You have that initial pop, and then boom, all the hype and FOMO of player base drops off, and then the core base gets discovered. Now, what I will say is, Honkai Star Rail, to the contrary, has been performing tremendously well. We're going to get into those numbers as well, because not only we're going to discuss this, there's other things to talk about. That, I mean, Honkai Star Rail has been crushing it, and of course, Hoyoverse as a whole has just been dominating the gacha genre still to this day. With Fontaine coming around the corner and with 1.4 coming, things are looking very promising with the money that they're making. It's ridiculous. But yeah, getting back on topic, I am quite surprised that Kafka did not perform better as things are progressing so far. Now, another neat little fact I want to take a gander at here, boys, is Star Rail achieved cumulative sales of approximately 500 million with over 19 million downloads worldwide. And the crazy thing about this is just from April 26th to July 25th, which means another 3 weeks have already gone by, and they have not factored in those sales yet, aka the Kafka banner has not been factored in yet. So I'll be interested to see those numbers in the future. But what we can take away from this is the amount of money generated and the amount of downloads worldwide. That's 19 million. You know what else I looked up? I looked up how many downloads Genshin Impact has. And it's astounding, 140 million downloads. Now, what I want you guys to pay close attention to is how much money Genshin Impact made in its first 3 months, because that's what they're accounting for. When we take a look, April 26th, we got May 26th, June 26th, July 26th. That is literally 3 months. So when we take a look at Genshin Impact's first 3 months, which they actually supplied in here somewhere, give me a second. Here we are. Genshin Impact generated 515 million globally in its first 3 months. So the two games perform about the same on mobile when looking at the same periods after each other's global launch. But what is truly wild about this is there were way more people playing Genshin Impact in the first 3 months than the 19 million downloads that Honkai Star Rail has. So I do find that absolutely incredible. Now, the next thing that's interesting is it says since its launch, the game has been accounting for 65.3% of MiHoYo's worldwide revenue, followed by Genshin Impact sitting at half of that. Less than half of that, actually. And then Honkai Impact, 2.8%. Oh my god, bro, that's funny. But even then, that damn 2.8%, that's a couple million, boys. So I mean, it is ridiculous. But when we look at this, I think this is the most impressive thing. 19 million compared to the 140 million downloads. The thing that's fascinating for me is the open world RPG aspect in today's gaming, society, is one of the most enticing and incentivizing genres for the gamer of today. So of course you're gonna have way more people playing that game, but turn-based has always been the last of a dying breed, an acquired taste, and a very niche genre. So the fact that Honkai Star Rail is popping off as much as it is, being a turn-based game, yes, you can make the argument it's because of Genshin Impact. No shit, Sherlock. It is because of Genshin Impact, but that doesn't matter when you take into consideration that it's a turn-based game. There's a lot of people out there that simply will not even give a turn-based game a chance. They'll just deter just because when they hear the name turn-based. So you still have to give credit where credit's due, the fact that it's performing as well as it's performing. And I think this is a good testament to its player base being quite satisfied with the dynamic and the pacing of the game. Now, I don't think it's a perfect game. I think there's a lot of ways to improve it, but you cannot discredit these things with these factuals right in front of you. But yeah, I love looking at all of this stuff. Look at this. China accounted for 41.1% of total revenue, followed by Japan, 23.9%, then the US at 12%, and then Korea at 7%. And then we have the RP, which is the revenue per download. On average, $60 is spent per downloaded copy of Honkai Star Rail in Japan. And then China, it's an average of $41, and there's a much more populated area. And then you have South Korea sitting at $37, and then the United States sitting at $17. It's cheap as hell over here in the United States, which is ironic. But now the next thing I wanted to look at is this bad boy right here, ranked high in mobile game rankings in major Asian countries after launch. Star Rail succeeded in reaching the top of the mobile game sales ranking in major Asian countries. It ranked 3rd in China, in Japan, and 4th in Korea with cumulative sales of about 34 million. And here's a cool thing. It's the only mobile game in the top 5 in Korea that is not of the MMORPG genre. And that makes perfect sense that the other games are in the top 5 are all MMOs, because MMOs have a much more incentivizing dynamic to spend money on them, given that there's a lot more to do as opposed to a daily gacha game that you generally play about 30 minutes a day. So I found all of this very interesting, and overall I think Honkai Star Rail is starting to establish its core player base, which is a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing, because generally what happens there is the veteran players start to trickle off over time, just like it did with Genshin Impact, and then they have to focus on reeling in new player base to continue those numbers and continue that revenue being generated. I think there's a lot of room for growth. I do think they need to add a little bit more replayable content into the game, but I guess we can save that for another video. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. As always, I hope I brought you guys some value or a little bit of entertainment. Take care, and I'll catch you on the flip side.